everybody. It's me, Timmy Flyersguy, and welcome to another edition of the Timmy Flyersguy podcast. I'm your host, Timmy Flyersguy. This episode will be going up tomorrow, which will be Tuesday, October 28th. It says, Tuesday the Flyers will face off against the Pittsburgh Penguins. I thought I'd come on here and do a very special episode discussing the Battle of Pennsylvania and the history of the Battle of Pennsylvania. But before I get into that, I want to fill you guys in on how I've been doing lately. Been doing pretty well. Going through a few, been doing pretty well. My cat Gritty has become more active as of late. The cat's got a lot of energy. Also, I got my COVID shot coming up real soon. I hope I get through that. Also, they're doing pretty good. Also, the Flyers have a game. This video is going up tonight. They got a game coming up against the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight on 28th. They have a huge victory on Saturday over the New York Islanders. I gotta tell you, in the beginning of that game, it wasn't looking good. It was not looking good for the Flyers. They go down 1-0. Second period, they go down 2-0. They're down 2-0. Flyers come back. Christian Dvorak with it. What a goal by Dvorak. And the Flyers cut the lead in half. Going into the third period, the Flyers tied up at 2-2. Trevor Zegras gets his first goal as a Philadelphia Flyer and his first goal of the season. Islanders then retake the lead at 3-2. And Flyers tied up at 3-3. Trevor Zegras gets his second goal of the season on the power play. As the Flyers tied at 3. Game goes into overtime. What happens? Nobody scores. Game goes into a shootout. And Flyers go first. Bobby brings up first. He goes in. He is stopped by Elias Sorokin. And the Islanders shoot second, and he's denied by Sam Ersson. And then Trevor Zegras comes up and he scores, giving the Flyers a 1-0 lead in the shootout. Islanders shoot again, and they score, tying the shootout at 1-1. And then Matthew Bishop comes in clutch on the shootout. He puts the puck into the back of the net. Flyers retake the lead in the shootout. And then the Islanders go next in the shootout. And Sam Ersson makes the save. Flyers win. Flyers get the victory. Their 5th win of the season. And it's looking good for the Flyers. I think that's their 5th win. Let's see here. They won against Florida, the home opener. They won against Florida and home after a loss to it. They beat the Minnesota Wild. That was their second win of the season. Then the Seattle Kraken. Then they beat the Seattle Kraken. Actually, I think that was the fourth win of the season because I think it was. They beat Florida at home. They beat the Minnesota Wild. They beat the Seattle Kraken. And then they beat the New York Islanders. So that's 4 wins for the Flyers. Hopefully they can get that fifth win as they will have an upcoming game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Without further ado, let's talk about the history of the Battle of Pennsylvania. You know, a lot of people do not get why Philadelphia and Pittsburgh have a rivalry. I've had people ask me, well, why do you root for Pittsburgh? They're Pennsylvania. And people always say, why do you want Pittsburgh to lose? They're part of the same state. Well, there's a reason for that. The rivalry between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins goes all the way back to the 1980s. Well, late 80s. During this time of the 1989 playoffs, the Philadelphia Flyers faced off against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Well, let's go all the way back. When the Philadelphia Flyers and Pittsburgh Penguins became 2 of the first expansion teams. Flyers faced off against the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first game of the season in the 1967-1968 Philadelphia Flyers season. The Flyers faced off against the Pittsburgh Penguins and beat the Penguins 1-0 at the Spectrum. In the 70s, the Pittsburgh Penguins couldn't buy a win against the Philadelphia Flyers. Fast forward to the 80s, and they're the same. So the rivalry intensified when the Pittsburgh Penguins signed a young player, as the Pittsburgh Penguins signed Mario Lemieux in 1984. The rivalry really started to heat up for the Penguins. Things were looking different. Flyers beat the Penguins a lot. The Penguins occasionally got victories over the Philadelphia Flyers. In 1989, the Philadelphia Flyers faced off against the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 1989 Stanley Cup playoffs. It was the first round of the 1989 Stanley Cup playoffs over yet. Actually, it might have been, I think it was the second round. I don't really recall what round it was, but they did face off against the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 1989 Stanley Cup finals. In one of the games, a player by the name of Robbie Brown scored a goal against Hextall, and Hextall was incensed. He chased him up and down the ice, and a brawl ensued. Despite the Penguins winning that game, the Philadelphia Flyers won that series and eliminated the Penguins for the 1989 Stanley Cup playoffs. Fast forward to the 90s, when the Pittsburgh Penguins had multiple Stanley Cup championships in the 90s, led by Mario Lemieux. But the Penguins got stronger is they signed a young player from the Czech Republic, Jaromir Jagr. He became a household sensation for the Pittsburgh Penguins. In the 1992-1993 season, the Philadelphia Flyers realized they needed to get a superstar on their team as well. And that year they signed young player. They signed youngster Eric Lindros. And Eric Lindros made his debut in the 1992-1993 season. The Flyers faced off against the Pittsburgh Penguins in the season opener. In that game, Eric Lindros got his first official National Hockey League goal, and his first goal as a Philadelphia Flyer. Fast forward to 1997, when the Philadelphia Flyers faced off against the Pittsburgh Penguins for the 1997 Stanley Cup quarterfinals. Philadelphia Flyers eliminated the Penguins. And during that time, this would be Mario Lemieux's last game as the Pittsburgh Penguin. As a Pittsburgh Penguin, Mario Lemieux contracted Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a form of cancer. After the Flyers beat the Penguins, the Philadelphia crowd showed their respect to Mario Lemieux. I know this is a rivalry, but sometimes rivalries have moments of respect. Rivalries are not just about hitting people and getting into fights with people. Rivalries can be about respect. That's what the Philly crowd showed Mario Lemieux that night, giving him a standing ovation and chanting his name. Fast forward to 1998, to early 1998, and the game against the Penguins. Darius Kasparaitis gave Lindros a concussion as he dealt Lindros a devastating hit, putting Lindros out of the game for a couple of weeks. That's when the rivalry started to heat up in Pittsburgh. The rivalry really started to come to a head in the 1999-2000 season, when the Philadelphia Flyers faced off against the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 2000 Stanley Cup playoffs. Penguins had the best of the Flyers in the first two games. The Philadelphia Flyers were not going to do the unbound fight. In Game 3, Andy Delmar. In one of the games, there would be a brawl between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. This rivalry really heating up. And it heated up right into the new millennium. In Game 3, Andy Delmar got the game-winning goal for the Philadelphia Flyers. Well, actually, the Flyers won Game 3, but Game 4 was one of the longest Philadelphia Flyers games in Philadelphia Flyers history, as the Pittsburgh Penguins and Philadelphia Flyers had one of the longest Game 4s in the history of the NHL and Flyers history, as well as both teams, who were tied at 1-1, could not find it back in the third period. Game went to overtime. Then it went into overtime again. Then it went into overtime again. And then it went into overtime again. Until the fourth overtime, when the Philadelphia Flyers beat the Pittsburgh Penguins, as Keith Primo scored the fourth overtime goal as the Flyers beat the Penguins in Game 4. In Game 5, in Game 4. Hi, Gravy. Hey, Gravy. That's my cat. So, Flyers beat the Penguins. And then, Flyers took the 3-2 lead in that series of victory. Or, tied it to the series up. And then they took a 3-2 lead against the Penguins in Game 5, and then eliminated the Penguins in Game 6. Fast forward all the way into the 2005-2006 season, where the Pittsburgh Penguins signed a young rookie named Sidney Crosby, a draft pick that they had drafted in the summer of 2004. Flyers also had 2 young players on their team in the 2005-2006 season, and those 2 rookie players were Jeff Carter and Mike Richards. This rivalry got even more heated. In a game against the Philadelphia Flyers and Pittsburgh Penguins in October of 2005, in that game, Darian Hatcher laid a devastating hit on Sidney Crosby. Sidney Crosby lost a tooth in that scuffle. Sidney Crosby was booed by the fans. Philadelphia fans constantly recall Sidney Crosby a crybaby because of the way he played, the way he acted on the ice if the game did not go his way. In that game, it was a tie game going into overtime, but Sidney Crosby got his first goal as a Pittsburgh Penguin, beating the Philadelphia Flyers in overtime. Shortly after this, in the 2006-2007 season, the Pittsburgh Penguins drafted a young Russian player named Evgeny Malkin. During that year, the Pittsburgh Penguins beat the Flyers in every game. It was not a good season for the Philadelphia Flyers. The Penguins were flying high, while the Philadelphia Flyers were just trying to find their way. Next, fast forward to the 2007-2008 season. The Philadelphia Flyers turned the tables on Pittsburgh, getting most of the wins against the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 2007-2008 season. Despite the Flyers having a great record against the Pittsburgh Penguins in the regular season, in the 2008 playoffs, the Philadelphia Flyers were eliminated in the Eastern Conference Finals. As they were dealt an elimination for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Fast forward to the 2008-2009 season, things really got heated. In the playoff games between the Flyers and the Penguins, there was a lot of brawls, a lot of fights, and a lot of scuffles in that series. The Flyers lost the first game. They won Game 2, came back to Philly, lost Game 3, won Game 4, 6-3. Won Game 5, and were eliminated by the Pittsburgh Penguins in Game 6. In Game 6 of the 2009 Stanley Cup quarterfinals, the Philadelphia Flyers were winning that game, but the Penguins were able to turn things around when Max Talbot and Dan Carcillo got the gloves. Even if Carcillo gave Talbot a beating, the Pittsburgh Penguins used this as motivation to get back into the game. And the Pittsburgh Penguins completely took over and eliminated the Flyers from the 2009 Stanley Cup playoffs. the rivalry, the rivalry even got more heated. And when I say heat, I mean nuclear heat. As the Philadelphia Flyers would face off against the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 2011-2012 Stanley Cup playoff quarterfinals. It was Timmy Flyersguy versus Claude Giroux, an epic showdown between two teams. This rivalry really heated up in a regular season game between the Flyers and Penguins. Flyers were winning that game, and before the game to come to an end, Derek Engelland landed a devastating hit on Danny Briere, and all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose. Danny Briere was okay, but the point is a huge brawl ended up happening as the Philadelphia Flyers and Pittsburgh Penguins really went at it. All hell broke loose in that game. Mike Emmerich described this as a Donnybrook. In that game, Scarlet would taunt the Pittsburgh fans by imitating wrestler Hulk Hogan. This series really heated up. And then the playoffs officially started. In Game 1, the Pittsburgh Penguins got off to a quick start, getting 3 goals in the first period. The Lucky Flyers managed to come back, tying the score up at 3-3. And in overtime, it was Jacob Voracek who gave the Flyers the overtime win in Game 1. In Game 2, Flyers did it again, coming from behind to beat the Penguins. In that game, Claude Giroux and Troy Couturier both had hat-tricks as the Flyers beat the Pittsburgh Penguins 8-6. In Game 3, the Philadelphia Flyers went out there and they took it right to the Penguins, scoring 3 goals and even getting into some scuffles as well. In Game 4, the Penguins got a little bit of payback, beating the Flyers 10-4. In Game 5, the Penguins narrowed the lead at 3-2. But in Game 6, one of the most greatest shifts in Philadelphia Flyers history occurred that day in Philadelphia. As Claude Giroux laid out Sidney Crosby with a devastating hit. Shortly after that, Claude Giroux put the Flyers on the board, getting the first goal. A goal that would blow the roof off the Wells Fargo Center, which is now known as the Xfinity Level Center. Claude Giroux scored, and the crowd went crazy. The Flyers followed up and kept scoring more goals. The Penguins were able to get some goals in that game. The Philadelphia Flyers were not going to let the Penguins outsmart them this time. In that game, the Philadelphia Flyers eliminated the Pittsburgh Penguins from playoff contention. The Flyers and Penguins would not have the playoff series until the 2017-2018 season. 2018 Stanley Cup playoffs with the Flyers and Penguins facing off once again. A rematch from the 2012 Stanley Cup playoffs. In the first game, the Pittsburgh Penguins blew out the Flyers. They took game 1. In game 2, the Flyers got some payback, and the series was tied 1-1. In game 3 in Philly, the Pittsburgh Penguins took game 3. In game 4, the Penguins did more of the same, taking a 3-1 lead in the series. Flyers then narrowed the gap at 3-2 in the series, beating the Penguins in game 5. It all came down to a game 6. It looked like the Flyers were winning that game. But just like in the 2009 playoffs, the Penguins turned the tables on the Philadelphia Flyers. But before I get to that, I almost forgot that these two teams would face off in the Stadium Series. We'll play a face-off in the 2017 Stadium Series game. The Penguins took that game in February of 2017. Now next, and the following year after that, in 2018-2019, the Philadelphia Flyers defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins in the Stadium Series. In the 2019 Stadium Series game, as Claude Giroux got the overtime game-winning goal at Lincoln Financial Field, and the Philadelphia Flyers defeated the Penguins. But before, I think I might want to head there. So, Flyers turned the tables on them in the 2017 Stanley Cup playoffs, defeating the Flyers. Sean Couturier was able to get a hat-trick in that game, but this wasn't enough, as the Pittsburgh Penguins eliminated the Philadelphia Flyers from the Stanley Cup playoffs. A year after that, the Flyers beat the Penguins at the 2019 Stadium Series game. So that's basically the last time the Flyers played the Penguins. I gotta tell you, the rivalry between the two teams has really simmered down. I used to detest Sidney Crosby. I couldn't stand him. But to tell you the truth, as a hockey player, he's really matured. And I have respect for him. I have respect for all he's accomplished. He started out as a sniveling little crybaby, but he evolves into one of the best NHL players of all time. And he's truly a mentor to the young players out there. So, I have forgiven Sidney Crosby, and I've forgotten what he's done. But that doesn't mean that this rivalry is over, because this rivalry should be heating up at some point. There is an upcoming Flyers Penguins game. That game will be at 6 o'clock on ESPN. Not ESPN Plus, but ESPN, the TV, ESPN, the cable channel. So, maybe we'll see this rivalry heat up once again. It's been a while since it's really heated up. Maybe at some point this season, the Flyers-Penguins rivalry will heat up. The Battle of Pennsylvania will heat up once again. So that is my history of the Battle of Pennsylvania. Hopefully, there's a good chance, maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe the year after that, we could see the Philadelphia Flyers face off against the Pittsburgh Penguins in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Once again, it's been a long time. Last playoff series they had with the Penguins was in 2017. Could we see that in a couple of years? I hope so, because these games between the Penguins and the Flyers, they draw a big crowd. They draw a lot of money. And a lot of people are glued to their TVs when they see the Flyers and Penguins go at it. In my opinion, a lot of people say one of the best rivalries is the Philadelphia Flyers and the New York Rangers. Yeah, it's an okay rivalry. The Flyers, New Jersey Devils, it's better than the rivalry between the Flyers and the Rangers. But to tell you the truth, one of the best rivalries the Flyers have had with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Because I feel like these teams bring out the best in each other. And that's why it's a recipe for success. When you have two rival teams, one from Eastern Pennsylvania and one from Western Pennsylvania, you put those two together, you have an epic clash. And that's how I feel about that. Guys, thank you for joining me here on the Timmy Flyersguy podcast. I got a few shout-outs here on my podcast that I'd like to say. I got some shout-outs here. I'd like to give a shout-out to... I'd like to give a shout-out to my friend. I'd like to give a shout-out to some beautiful ladies on Twitter. I'd like to give a shout-out to the lovely Tess Thompson, the lovely Scarlet, and the lovely Cleo. These girls are absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, but also very sweet, very kind, and down to earth. I really enjoy talking to them. So Amber, Cleo, hold on. So Tess, Scarlet, Cleo, I love you all so much, and each and every one of you truly has my heart. I also like to give a shout out to a very beautiful Indica flower. Indica, I love you, and I think you're amazing. And I hope that one day you can follow me back on Twitter. It would really be an honor to get a follow back from you, and be an honor to get a follow. And it would be such a pleasure to interact with you. You're an amazing person. You're beautiful. You're down to earth. And you're very, very chill. I love you, sweetheart. And you truly have my heart. Also, I'd give a shout out to... Who else should I give a shout out to? I'd like to give a shout out to my Uncle Joe, for always supporting me, Flyers, my mom, who's always there to watch the games with me, my cat Gritty, who is a really great cat. I'd also like to give a shout out to lovely Gigi. Gigi Dior. Gigi, I love you. I think you're amazing. You surely have my heart. I'd also like to give a shout out to my sister Megan, who watches the games with me occasionally. Also my sister Shelley. My niece Emily for giving me Gritty, my cat. I'd also like to give a shout out to many great Flyers YouTube channels. Mirror Media, Flyers Daily, Snabagoli, and Travis B. Allen. He makes some great highlight videos. And that's about it for the shout outs for this video. Guys, thank you for joining me in this episode. I thank you for joining this episode, and I hope the Flyers can take care of business as they will face off against the Pittsburgh Penguins on Tuesday. The day this video will go up, and that game will be at 6 p.m. on ESPN. Not the app, not Hulu, not ESPN Plus, but the regular ESPN cable channel. Guys, thank you for joining me. Have a great day. Let's stay fired up, and let's get fired up for Tuesday's game. The day this video will come up as the Flyers face off against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's kick some ass. Let's kick some ass.